Hello and welcome to Herein Lies the Peace of God in the Awakening Together Sanctuary. The Awakening Together Sanctuary is an assembly of equals joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self. Within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. The host of Herein Lies the Peace of God is Reverend Jacqueline and Eckert, the President and Minister of Awakening Together. Our co-host is your favorite anarchist preacher, Reverend Glen Ganaway, integral scholar. The Course in Miracles says this about discerning one truth. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
Sing glory, glory, hallelujah. How wonderful thy holy name. Now I can see with God's own vision, and I see peace instead of pain. Yes, I see peace instead of pain. I can see peace instead of pain. Amen.
Doggies.
Exactly. That's what we need to hear. So glad everybody is here. How are you tonight, Jacqueline?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. I think the spider has climbed back up the spout.
You mean the sun came out today?
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. You know,
That's
it was
great.
beautiful. I know. Bring us all back to that lovely time when you're learning about the weather and learning about each other and having fun together. Very intimate times like we do around here, realizing when everybody's one together in those times when we're undifferentiated.
Yes,
you know?
yes. I want to tell you about a fabulous video that I saw this morning.
I love that.
It was called Transcendence, I think was the name of it. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
It should. Ellie sent it to Connie. Connie sent it to me. Yeah, it was Reverend Yolanda.
Oh,
It was great. It was great.
Yeah, that was quite a journey. That's a very good friend of ours. That's not our apartment, of course. It's a very, very good friend of ours here in New York. A lot of New York moments in that.
Yes, it was a fabulous video. I really enjoyed it.
Well, if you have the Transcendence video is the story of a man who goes to sleep and dreams of a better life and wakes up and decides to make it happen. In a more authentic expression of themselves. Wakes up as one person, goes to sleep and actually dreams of reality. So it's kind of flips the dream on itself. You know, it's like, yeah, permission to be it's like permission to be yourself, universe. You know, it's like, yes. That's what we want. Thank you, Yolanda. Yolanda's saying, yes, that's true. Yes, that's true. But we're gonna talk about number 16. We're on the second half. We did the second half. That review, I want to say, Jacqueline, was so much fun. I've gotten some really good feedback of from folks saying, "Oh, putting it all together like that, seeing the arc really helps me understand why the manual is there, like what the thing is, you know, like seeing the arc of it, seeing the way the movement of it goes, you know, was really helpful. So I'm glad we did that review.
Good. Me too. It was helpful to me, actually. As well as like, oh, that's why we're doing this. Same thing.
Yeah. It's because it's for me.
Yeah, right. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Which I really find with today's what we're going to cover today, and maybe it's so long, maybe we should go ahead and read it. But I will say that it's like, oh my God, I first of all, I didn't know it said this in here, and how could it be so timely?
It's almost explicit, you know.
Yeah. It is when I read it.
Oh, I know. It's direct. I mean, as they say in like non-dual circles, it's a direct teaching. It's
it is a direct
absolutely. This is you. Do this, and then do this, and then do this, and then do this.
Yes.
So it's like if it's not there's not a lot of ambiguity.
Ambiguity. Yes, sir. There is not a lot.
There. So tell them what the title is. Tell them what we're going to be talking.
The title is "How Should the Teacher of God Spend His Day?"
I know.
And who's reading, Glenn? Is that me or you?
I don't remember who's.
Shauna knows.
Jacqueline's turn.
Okay. The
So
dramatic reading.
I'll go.
I think we should get into it because it's 11. It's 11 paragraphs. So let's kind of get in here. So put it in your mind. It's like what you're think about. I wanted to do this little caveat.
Yes, sir.
Before we begin, it's like if the so think about the day you've already had, or think about your routines and what's natural as we begin, because she's answering that. The question is, how do I spend my day? So from the question to give you good hermeneutics, to sit in the question of why you would ask the question, like what would be the thing that you would ask a teacher to say, how should I spend my how should I spend my day?
Interesting.
So,
all right.
Okay.
Well,
that's it. Thank you.
All right. So we're all settled. We know where we're coming from.
Okay. And I'm going to turn off my thing or I'm going to giggle and stuff.
You're welcome to giggle.
Okay. Giggle auditorily.
All right. Here we go.
Thanks.
How should the teacher of God spend his day? To the advanced teacher of God, this question is meaningless. She's so funny. Doesn't she do that? Every question you ask.
And we're done. Scene.
So anyway, here we go. To the advanced teacher of God, this question is meaningless. There is no program, for the lessons in the curriculum change each day. Yet he is sure of but one thing: they do not change at random. Seeing this and understanding it is true, he rests content. He will be told all that his role should be this day and every day. And those who share that role with him will find him, so they can learn the lessons for the day together. Not one is absent whom he needs. Not one is sent without a learning goal already set, and one which can be met that very day. For the advanced teacher of God, then, this question is superfluous. Sorry, I wasn't getting the word. For the advanced teacher of God, then, this question is superfluous. It has been asked and answered, and he keeps in constant contact with the answer. He is set and sees the road on which he walks stretch surely and smoothly before him. But what about those who have not reached his certainty? They are not yet ready for such lack of structuring on their own part. What must they do to learn to give the day to God? There are some general rules which do apply, although each one must use them as best he can in his own way. Routines as such are dangerous because they easily become gods in their own right, threatening the very goals for which they were set up. Broadly speaking, then, it can be said that it is well to start the day right. It is always possible to begin again should the day begin with error, yet there are obvious advantages in terms of saving time if the need for this can be avoided. At the beginning, it is wise to think in terms of time. This is by no means the ultimate criterion, but at the outset, it is probably the simplest to observe. The saving of time is an essential early emphasis which, although it remains important throughout the learning process, becomes less and less emphasized. At the outset, we can safely say that time devoted to starting the day right does indeed save time. How much time should be so spent? This must depend on the teacher of God himself. He cannot claim that title until he has gone through the workbook, since we are learning within the framework of our course. After completion of the more structured practice periods which the workbook contains, individual need becomes the chief consideration. This course is always practical. It may be that the teacher of God is not in a situation which fosters quiet thought as he awakes. If this is so, let him but remember that he chooses to spend time with God as soon as possible, and let him do so. Duration is not the major concern. One can easily sit still an hour with closed eyes and accomplish nothing. One can as easily give God only an instant, and in that instant join with him completely. Perhaps the one generalization that can be made is this: as soon as possible after waking, take your quiet time, continuing a minute or two after you begin to find it difficult. You may find that the difficulty will diminish and drop away. If not, that is the time to stop. The same procedure should be followed at night. Perhaps your quiet time should be fairly early in the evening, if it is not feasible for you to take it just before going to sleep. It is not wise to lie down for it. It is better to sit up in whatever position you prefer. Having gone through the workbook, you must have come to some conclusions in this respect. If possible, however, just before going to sleep is a desirable time to devote to God. It sets your mind into a pattern of rest and orients you away from fear. If it is expedient to spend this time earlier, at least be sure that you do not forget a brief period, not more than a moment will do, in which you close your eyes and think of God. There's one thought in particular that should be remembered throughout the day. It is a thought of pure joy, a thought of peace, a thought of limitless release. Limitless because all things are freed within it. You think you made a place of safety for yourself. You think you made a power that can save you from all the fearful things you see in dreams. It is not so. Your safety lies not there. What you give up is merely the illusion of protecting illusions. And it is this you fear, and only this. How foolish to be so afraid of nothing. Nothing at all. Your defenses will not work, but you are not in danger. You have no need of them. Recognize this and they will disappear. And only then will you accept your real protection. How simply and how easily does a day slip by for the teacher of God who has accepted his protection. All that he did before in the name of safety no longer interests him, for he is safe and knows it is so. He has a guide who will not fail. He need make no distinctions among the problems he perceives, for he to whom he turns with all of them recognizes no order of difficulty in resolving them. He is as safe in the present as he was before illusions were accepted into his mind, and as he will be when he has let them go. There is no difference in his state at different times and different places, because they are all one to God. This is his safety, and he has no need for more than this. Yet, there will be temptations along the way the teacher of God has yet to travel, and he has need of reminding himself throughout the day of his protection. How can he do this, particularly during the time when his mind is occupied with external things? He can but try, and his success depends on his conviction that he will succeed. He must be sure success is not of him, but will be given him at any time, in any place and circumstance he calls for it. There are times his certainty will waver, and the instant this occurs, he will return to earlier attempts to place reliance on himself alone. Forget not, this is magic, and that magic is a sorry substitute for true assistance. It is not good enough for God's teacher because it is not enough for God's son. The avoidance of magic is the avoidance of temptation, for all temptation is nothing more than the attempt to substitute another will for God's. These attempts may indeed seem frightening, yet they are merely pathetic. Let me laugh for a minute and go on. That's pathetic. They can have no effects, neither good nor bad, neither rewarding nor demanding sacrifice, healing nor destructive, quieting nor fearful. When all magic is recognized as merely nothing, the teacher of God has reached the most advanced state. All intermediate lessons will but lead to this and bring this goal nearer to recognition. For magic of any kind in all its forms simply does nothing. Its powerlessness is the reason it can be so easily escaped. What has no effects can hardly terrify. There is no substitute for the will of God. In simple statement, it is to this simple fact that the teacher of God devotes his day. Each substitute he may accept as real can but deceive him, but he is safe from all deception if he so decides. Perhaps he needs to remember, God is with me, I cannot be deceived. Perhaps he prefers other words, or only one, or none at all. Yet, each temptation to accept magic as true must be abandoned through his recognition, not that it is fearful, not that it is sinful, not that it is dangerous, but merely that it is meaningless. Rooted in sacrifice and separation, two aspects of one error and no more. He merely chooses to give up all that he never had, and for this sacrifice is heaven restored to his awareness. Is not this an exchange that you would want? The world would gladly make it if it knew it could be made. It is God's teachers who must teach that it can. And so it is their function to make sure that they have learned it. No risk is possible throughout the day except to put your trust in magic, for it is only this that leads to pain. There is no will but God's. His teachers know this is so and have learned that everything but this is magic. All belief in magic is maintained by just one simple-minded illusion, that it works. All through his training, every day and every hour and even every minute and second, must God's teachers learn to recognize the forms of magic and perceive their meaninglessness. Fear is withdrawn from them, and so they go. And thus, the gate of heaven is reopened, and its light can shine again on an untroubled mind.
Yeah, there we are. One thing,
One simple-minded illusion.
Yeah, one simple-minded illusion. When she goes, until he goes, the advanced teachers of God, however, but since you asked the question, I know you're not an advanced teacher of God, so I'm gonna spend the next 10 paragraphs, laying it out.
Telling you what's what.
Yeah, telling you what's what. You believe in magic, which she defines, I believe, I know. See, for me, I came to deep paganism and the goddess and everything like that as a self-expression before I came to the Course in Miracles, came to understand. So my first encounter and working with magic was the same way I talk about or think about miracles today. The magic is when working with what is. I have to do so little. It looks like being, we were talking about the flow in the other show, in one of the last TED Talks that we talked about. That it looks like magic to climb a mountain in 30 minutes. It looks impossible. So that's her. So that's one of the things that my mind has to rein in or do back, because I do kind of a red flag when somebody when she uses magic this way. I perfectly get it, because in the culture that is how magic is used. It's something otherworldly, and you have to do. I can say magic words that will force you to become a snake or something, Harry Potter. I can say these fake Latin sounding words, and the world has to, conform to my will, right? It has to, and that's the kind of magic that she's talking to. So if the word magic triggered you in any way, like it did me when I first read this, know that that magical Harry Potter kind of, that's the kind of magic that she's talking about. So don't get too weirded out about the word magic, just like she uses the word king, and kingdom and things like that. So don't get weirded out about, we're not trying to join a monarchy here, or like to try. So there's things, these are all wonderful metaphors. So I like we'll talk about the first paragraph here for a minute. She talks about this being learning our lessons together the first paragraph is like, yeah, what you need to do is you're going to show up and learn this lesson, but everything else, the other person is going to agree to help you learn this lesson, and you're agreeing to help them learn the lesson as well. Takes a lot of the, like, pulls out the juice, some of the juice of, oh, I'm the only one learning here. I have so much to do. Everybody knows more than me or something. I don't know. So then he goes, I will be told my role. I share my role with the world. And see, those are all things, all cooperative components. It's a mindset of looking at the world and our actions as being a learner, as being the progressor in these understandings. And so she's asked us to set a learning goal, constant contact with the answer. So again, it's a relationship. It's like learning to live the answer, learning to live into the answer that we've been given, even though we don't believe it. All things are one. All things work together for my good. There's the fun, all these things that we've been talking about. I can trust the voice that likes me. Those kind of things. And she uses a really wonderful metaphor about the road ahead. And sort of harkens back to the road less traveled, I think, is kind of what she does here. She really stands on that and says, there is, you will know where to go. It'll be interesting. That's where, you'll see the road ahead. And you'll be sure of it, the road ahead, and it'll be smooth ahead. So, so she goes this, okay, just, it's okay. But how did you find all of that? The first part, did you?
Oh, thanks for asking. I didn't know you were going to ask me that.
Well, yeah, we're kind of going to do a little bit more back and forth here, maybe.
Okay, no, that's fine. That works for me. Maybe we agreed to do that. I've forgotten. So anyway, I have no memory these days. I will say that. So the only way I know to preach this
Mm-hmm.
is as a whole, frankly, because what it says to me, it's like, okay, maybe I won't do it at all.
No, I know it's fine because the beginning, it's like the start, is like the advanced. See that she says I guess what I'll ask you is like, how this distinction that she makes between that she calms you down is like the way the lesson's going to work, the way it's going to be structured. How do you do your day? Well, you're going to be paying attention to what happens. She uses the word consciousness a whole bunch of times.
Okay, so let me. So
we don't have to drill down this definition. The thing, the big picture is for this. I think a much better way to go. I'm going to be honest.
Well, and for me, the big picture here is exactly what I talked about in my homily 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, or whenever it was. This is about this. This whole thing is about the surrender of self-will, and to the extent that you think that you can exert self-will, buddy, that's believing in magic. Because it doesn't work that way. Because the self that would exert the will is an effect. It's not a cause. So it's impossible for that effect to have an effect on anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one will. It's God's will. We finally call it the flow. So the only thing to do is find that flow and stay in it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, he keeps in constant contact with the answer. The answer is, there's only one will. It's God's will. Just find that will and be in that. And don't imagine for a second that you could possibly have your own will, because that's ridiculous. She
calls it the cause of suffering. It
is. It is.
Pain.
Self-will is the only cause of suffering. That's it. That's the entire cause of suffering is self-will. Mm-hmm. That's it. You let go of that, you got it. It's done.
Do you for the longest time, and Yolanda and I still do this. We get up. The very first thing we do in the morning is read the lesson together, and then we usually laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, and then because it's always something like ridiculously poignant that we were talking about the other day or whatever like that. It's always something that's just like this bird like swoops in and like a raven on the fence post and says I'm
Never more. Yeah.
yeah, never, this is do this,
Yeah.
And so do you have a routine in the what do you do in the mornings? I mean, that's what we do. Do you want to would you
Oh, well,
do you have a
generally,
routine?
I get up and I do nothing for 30 minutes. I do look at my email for 30 minutes, right? And then I read and meditate, and then I do my gentle healing contemplations, and then we're off.
Yeah. So you have a routine.
It's about a 2 hour in the morning reading, contemplating. Yeah.
Yes. I get up and do my absolutions, and then Yolanda and I will have and we have a hot tea together and read and have the lesson, have Mr. Miracle read the lesson to us, because that's what we call the website, Mr. Miracle, that reads to you. He'll read the lesson to you. So if you go to acim.org, you could hit this. He'll read the lesson to you every day. Yeah. So we listen, sip our tea, and read the lesson every day, and we kind of talk about it a little bit, and we'll do the lessons, and then I walk, as you know. I harass cars on my way to work to and from. Now I do less and less of that, but so Yolanda has now our routine is to now take a walk together, and she walks with me to work, and we'll take a walk together,
Sweet.
Yeah, and then I get on and I get to work, and I get my I have my little breakfast. I have my little breakfast sandwich, and I look at the news, and I stop and I close my eyes at my desk and dedicate the it's like may I only do what is mine to do, and it's like everything, and I'm a spreadsheet jockey, so it's like.
Should we ask Shawn and George how they start their morning?
Sure, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it in any kind of detail that you can offer.
I'll go first then. It kind of depends on how the flow is feeling. I'll have early morning meditations with someone else 3 days a week, and then other times I'll have other meditations that I do with other groups. And then I always do my gentle healing contemplation and meditation, usually in that order. If I feel to meditate first, I do that. And then I also exercise, have my cup of coffee. It kind of depends on the flow. Yeah. And I also want to say thank you, Yolanda, for walking with Glenn to work so that he doesn't beat on the hoods of cars.
Somebody's got to protect the city of New York. At least Brooklyn.
Yes, it's Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Yeah. What about you, George? Would you like to share your any kind of your morning routine?
Sure. Yep, I get up, head to the kitchen for a cup of coffee, turn the computer on, spend a few minutes there, and then do a little contemplation, a little meditation, sometimes very little, but it's a slow start. I mean, I'm the only one up when I get up, so it's quiet time.
And so our Yolanda and I have really been doing this for probably about 8 or 9 years, but it hasn't always been like this. It's evolved, right? So it hasn't, it evolves and changes, So I choose to start your day well, set a goal about the development of trust, and it becomes individualized over the time. And she says, do the lessons, do the work, do the structure of, choose a structure. I don't even think it has to be the Course in Miracles, even. Choose a structure so we don't mix. I love to read. Robert Spiro was a big influence on me, and others. Let me see. I'm looking at a book right now. Michael Brown is another influence of mine. Adyashanti, Ibn al-Arabi. So I was reading all of these different systems, when I was first getting into this, and I really had to decide I was going to use one system, because each of them uses a different system. So she kind of says that in this, that says, be honest about what you'll do, and get up in the morning and choose a system and do it. You know, do you find that, Jackie? Did you hear that in the?
Yeah, I do. I've starred here in my margins. Perhaps the one generalization that can be made is this: as soon as possible after waking, take your quiet time. And I love the very specific instruction, continuing a minute or two after you begin to find it difficult. That's wonderful. I'd forgotten that very specific instruction. And if the difficulty falls away, that's awesome. And if it doesn't, okay, stop. It's like really practical.
Skills development, developing your skills to be uncomfortable with yourself, like to have those realizations, to sit with. For me, I've had a bit of a falling away, a beautiful falling away, you know, as a letting go. I realized that I had taken with these lessons and things, that I had and do have some identity in being opposed to something.
I hear that.
Being against something. So I recognizing that I had placed identity, and when I withdrew identity from being in opposition to something, I found grief on the other side of it.
Isn't that amazing?
So to just be able to, like, say, don't even run from the grief about losing a part of what you thought was you. There's willingness and lightness and energy and abundance. What I'm finding is there's abundance of energy and well-being under the grief.
Yeah. Wow.
But it's only accessed if I'm willing to grieve the loss of a part of an identity I've had for 50 years or something, you know?
Yeah. We're all James Dean, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to be the rebel?
No, yeah. I got a million causes. You got a minute? So that permission to contemplate, that permission to do the lesson and to choose a system, and then really work with that system has been really beneficial to me. Instead of trying to be a good Adyashanti student, or be a good Ibn al-Arabi student, or be a good, Spira, disciple, or whatever it is, that's not what awakening or my journey is about. She goes, and she says it 2 or 3 times. What is your role? What is the role that Holy Spirit has for you? Find that out. And she goes, the longer you on this, it begins to get highly individualized, right?
Yeah, I think I might be reading that a little bit more broadly when she talks about finding a role. She's talking about the way I read it, maybe just where I am now, but she's talking about finding out that you are not an individual with an individual self-will. Right. To find your role, that's surrender. She's talking about surrender in these paragraphs. And so and then whatever comes from that, like, be moved by the Tao, right? Whatever comes from that will come from that. You will be directed to, but it's not because you go, oh, now I'm a sailor, or whatever it is. Right now, I'm a professor. No, it's about your role is in the second position.
Yes. So listen to the answer, and then take action on what the answer is, and what is, I say a lot, what is mine to do? So we talk about these things, in much of it, it's like, I don't just sit here and go into a cave, and say goodbye. There's more that's happening here. There's there's my participation in the wholeness. There is this reflection and my participation in what is whole and true. And I want to. I think it's fun. It's really beautiful. The thing that I hang on the role part is she says later about being conscious. She says she uses the word where is it? Conscious. Where is that? Thoughts of pure. Where is that conscious? Where's that become conscious? Maybe I'm thinking of a different lesson.
I don't know. Hi, Kathy.
Okay, conscious. Where is that? Well, I remember it. The contrast. Did you find it?
No, I said I believe you. I don't have to find it. I don't need the proof.
Okay.
What does she tell me? What she says?
Well, the idea to become conscious about what we're doing, to be a conscious, to be conscious of the lesson, to be.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't know. I know that she moves into talking about temptation, which I just think is fascinating. And of course, the temptation she's talking about, she talks about in terms of magic, but the temptation she's talking about is the temptation to take matters into your own hands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the definition of magic. We get into magic again.
Yeah. Let's see. So when you're successful, when you're having a good day, don't think it's because you did something.
Yes, this
it's
is very
only
true.
because you got out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to be tempted to think you did it, and then that's gonna fuel the fire when you don't know what to do, or you've forgotten to surrender, and you're tempted to take things into your own hands. Mm-hmm. If you think you've been doing all this that made things turn out good, you're going to be more tempted to take things into your own hands.
Mm-hmm. The conscious, I just found it. The conscious reference was from the other thing I've already taught this week from, and we'll do on Sunday, chapter 4, section 7, about differentiating and understanding and taking our identity out of the ego, become a conscious learner, become conscious of the presence.
Well, this is the same lesson.
Yeah, so I'm like doing both things. I'm saying that one thing is the other, which is the wonderful thing about when we start doing the course, that all of this is working together to teach this one lesson, that I can relax and really stop trying to become something, because that's what my ego wants. My ego wants to become something. My ego wants to acquire spirituality, or acquire good deeds, or acquire these things. And and she says how to spend your day, is really quite beautiful.
And simple.
It's simple. Just give it up. Give your day to what's going to work.
That's right. I love how she says, I don't know, it's at the bottom of one of my pages. She says, how simply and how easily does the day slip by for the teacher of God who has accepted his, capital H, protection. All that he did before in the name of safety no longer interests him, for he is safe and knows it is so. So she's pointing to this this creation and maintenance of this false self. And so then the way we spend our days when we believe we're a false self is to make sure that it all holds together, and you don't attack it, and I'm going to be safe and happy and loved. That's what our lives are concerned with when we think there's an individual and an individual self-will. That's all we're concerned with, is making sure this one's okay. Okay, we're okay. We're happy.
The protection, what I call the monkey mother, I'm beginning to call the monkey mother within us. She asks us to give up protecting illusions, to give up the pursuit of power, and to give up the pursuit of safety in that same paragraph. See, that's just like, and to catch myself in the pursuit of power. That this power over is going to bring me what I want. And she promises these things over and over again, that real protection is here if we recognize it. The promise is that all things will be freed. The promise is that I won't that I will fear nothing. The promise is that I will have no need for illusions of power and safety.
Right. There's one thought in particular that should be remembered throughout the day. It is a thought of pure joy, a thought of peace, a thought of limitless release. Limitless because all things are freed within it.
Yeah.
So it's not up to me to make sure anything goes the right way. I'm protected. I'm happy.
I'm living in the answer.
Liberation. It's like Paul Henneman says all the time. It's not liberation for the self. It's liberation from the self. Yeah.
And Adyashanti says it really well when he goes,
enlightenment
has nothing to offer you.
Yeah.
Nothing to offer you.
Yeah, self-will, ego, whatever you want to call it, does not like that.
No.
Because I'm always in it for what I can get out of it.
It feels dangerous. Like my grief over finding an identity and being opposed to something. There's discovering where I still believe in magic, discovering where I still believe that the force and control and power over and protection and safety for my body and manipulate what I call monitoring bodies through space. Yeah. That if I could just control and monitor all the bodies in space, everything would be okay. Yolanda's song "Control Queen" comes to mind. That's if people would be so happy if they would just do what I say,
Yeah.
That's a lot of like what we call parenting and what we call politics, what we call self-help. A lot of self-help. When I started teaching, I got a lot of instructed, like say, give people 10 steps to happiness, or give what you need to do is like 5 steps to this. Is like and I'm a BS in healthcare management, so the thing is, always sell to the pain, right? Always sell to answer a pain point. These are disgusting. It's a business model. It's a business model. It's
pathetic. That was her word. Pathetic.
And she lays it right out. She doesn't even go into, she calls it pathetic. This belief in magic is pathetic. Belief that like my singular will, that I can double down enough in order to get the entire will of God or the universe or the law of whatever to bend in my favor because I want it that bad. Yeah. It's a recipe for suffering, and I've been a little bit down that road.
Oh yeah, yeah, me too. Me too. It's a long road, actually. I also, and then she brings around at the end to bring us back to, I don't know what we talked about.
What I really want.
Oh, what is the real meaning of sacrifice?
Uh-huh.
So we talked about in section 13. She brings it back to that. She's like, it's not a sacrifice to let go of self-will. It's not a sacrifice to let go of the source of all your suffering. You just got it bass-backwards. Mm-hmm. That's all. Yeah. Shouldn't use those exact
the
words.
Identity we have with our suffering. I am, even in our language, we say, I am sick. Mm-hmm. We say, but in French, it's I have pain.
Yeah. Well, and I've always talked about Spanish. It's the head hurts. The head hurts.
Instead of it says I have pain.
Instead of headache. Yeah.
Yeah. The head is the head is hurting. The neurons fire differently, I think. And so this idea of becoming like why do we need to organize our day and to make a commitment to wake up every morning and say, what is my goal for the day? To wake up every morning and says, I'm committed to this. This works. I know it works. I want the promise of a smooth road ahead. I want the promise that she says that the gates of heaven open and light will shine on an untroubled mind in the very end. I want an untroubled mind. If I want an untroubled mind, then I will stop trying to believe that I know that I could judge it. Why do we? What's the? We've talked a lot about that here. Why don't we trust our own judgment? Because there's no way I have the carrying capacity, to factor in everything that needs to be factored in. I don't have the bandwidth for it.
Well, and what I have come to learn, man, the hard way, is if I insist on doing things my way, I'm going to be miserable. It's going to be a bad choice. As happy as the outcome is promised, I know that if I have guidance to do one thing and I do another, it's ugly. It's every time it's ugly. And so after you touch the hot burner a couple of times, you start to get it. You go, I really, 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 really want that thing. But okay, you tell me what I want. You tell me what I need. And it's just hard, but that's, for me, I see that come up again and again and again. Your will, because I know that that's the only way that anybody's going to be happy.
I know. I had to stop pursuing relationships and where I looked good. And had to start pursuing relationships in which I was seen, and I had something to offer, in which I wanted to share in, instead of managed as some kind of business opportunity, but.
Which one of these relationships is going to get me in GQ, right?
Or get me the bigger house, get me the social. I will stop there.
I get it. Should we stop now and ask folk what they want to share about this?
Well, just to say, and she does it. She goes, book in the day.
Yeah. Yes. Beautiful. That's an excellent point.
Book in the day. Start the day and say, I give it to you, or whatever we do, the system, the contemplation, who am I, whatever it is that we're doing, read the contemplation, or read the next thing, and, the mantras for the mother, or do, whatever. This is right here. Do the thing that you're supposed to do and make a commitment to it, and then do it at night, and remind yourself throughout the day, when you double down on thinking things have got to look and be a certain way, to catch yourself and back up, to make that the practice. How should you spend your day? Catching yourself in wanting magic, catching yourself in participating in what doesn't work, and end your day that way as well, because it becomes very, very, very individualized.
I appreciate you making that point, because I often miss it. I will often go to sleep with the television on, although I'm getting better about that. Perry Mason or something, something goofy. And I'm much happier. Much, much, much happier if I'm just listening to meditative music or thunderstorm sounds. I love, and it's so funny because I don't want to do that, and then I do it. I'm like,
Yeah. I know.
So it's funny.
Yeah, I have to. Yolanda will go to bed early and do her we have one bathroom, and it's the size of a closet. So Yolanda does her absolutions and goes to bed, and I have tried to turn off the my reading, because I do a lot of reading and research and things online and I follow the news too much, probably. Confession, probably minutely follow the news a little bit, and then I know my discipline and my guidance is to turn. There's some uplifting, something that brings my attention back to my participation in the world instead of everything that is, composting in the world, coming down, in the morning, of a changing material world, to looking at what is being built, the beautiful solidarity and times that we're in right now that are just absolutely delicious. To think that there's beautiful, so to go to bed with hope and belief that I'm not in charge, and that's a good thing, because I couldn't. They don't. I don't. I used to want to be in charge. I don't want to. I really don't want to be. Yeah, I did. I did. I thought that would be the most helpful thing for everybody. Like any good control queen, Yolanda will tell you, is you want the best for everybody, and what's best for everybody.
Yeah.
So that to let go of that to let go to bed. And then, I enter the closet and do my absolutions, and then, Yolanda and I just say, just like just talk for a minute in bed, just like say everything, what happened, everybody's good, and, just like everything's okay, and then the cat makes it worse. No, we have a very needy cat, but so. It's taken us years sort of to be honest about what we both want and what we both work, to be that vulnerable, to say, to give yourself that, to give yourself quiet time, to give it feels odd. I want to acknowledge that these routines feel odd when you first begin them, and
But stick with it a minute and see if the discomfort drops away. That's what she told us, right?
Yeah, it might. It might just drop away,
Or you might turn Perry Mason on. But
Yeah, well,
I doubt it. I mean, seriously, I doubt it, because when I turn Perry Mason off and turn the other stuff on, I'm like, again, it's so much better.
For us, it's Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, is
We're like, we're getting this. We're watching things that are like, and it's like, and so we turn on Sherlock. We watch Basil Rathbone and go.
Shall we ask?
Please, I'd like to know how
the others how they end their day, or
how do you end your day,
your heart?
or how do you wish your day was ending?
Yeah, y'all. Shauna.
I usually reread my contemplation from the morning or the gentle healing reading. But I also want to look, if I've been particularly upset during the day, I want to look at that again and allow a release of that. If I haven't already done not a whole root cause inquiry, but looking right at the real reason that it's upset in here. Wow. And just release that. And then just to be grateful. I just go into this grateful mode. I'm so grateful for this day. I'm so grateful for everything. And that I usually fall asleep with the gratitude right on my heart.
Oh. That's beautiful. Wow. Thank you for that share. That's gorgeous. Thank you, Shauna.
Beautiful.
George or Kathy? George?
I go throughout my day with, kind of bouncing in and out of present awareness. Mm-hmm. And I'll get involved in something and not think about it. Of course, that's present awareness anyway, but then I have these moments where I kind of wake up throughout the day, and those are really quite frequent. Generally, my days are virtually stress-free, so I don't have a lot to reflect on as I go to sleep. So that's about it.
They say ignorance is bliss, George.
Yeah. And
Right? I mean, that's all that's saying is an empty mind.
Uh-huh.
I absolutely think that's what that phrase means. An empty mind is bliss.
And it's taken me a while to like think it's not. I have had I like my mind, so I think that I'm doing good, by figuring things out, by having a very, very, very busy mind. There's, but I know it's taken me like many years for that to effectively drop away, that it becomes a tool to use if I need to figure something out, and not a way of being. Mm-hmm. Having a busy mind is not a way of being. It's stressful. I know that when we just got through a big audit at work. So there was a lot of stress with the people coming out for the audit that was happening at our business that were required to that were required to do for our funding and stuff. And I was fine. My supervisor, boss, whatever you want to say, teacher, was finding mistakes that I had made. Mistakes that I'd made when I first started that I don't make anymore. But the audit is for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. So I was feeling had to keep catching myself that this is what an audit is for. This is why we're doing it, so that we can look at, both of us, correcting the mistakes so that we can deliver a good product to the members of this union, which is what I needed to do. I had to really keep dialing back this, I'm sorry, I'll figure it out, I'll never do it, I'll never do it again. This reaction to it's like, oh no, I'm learning, I learned that, and we're doing good, and this is why we're doing it. Was just, I don't have to scan for danger and scan to keep protected, and that constantly like George was saying, constantly bringing myself back to this awareness that all is happening for my good. All
that's lovely.
All is happening for my good. I don't understand. I'm confused. I'm upset. But the part I'm just going to say this, again, the part that really got me in this lesson was that other people show up to help you learn your lesson. I really.
Kathy hadn't heard you say that earlier.
I really do believe that people do show up
say that.
to help you learn your lesson in the first paragraph. And I know that and the cars on the street definitely. Parking wrong and being mean to pedestrians. There are
Kathy, did you want to share, honey?
Yeah, I did that. That was quite a funny sharing. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate that. But I do want to have a chance to respond to what I like to do. And
please.
It's going to sound like a plug, and it's going to sound like a plug, but I don't mean it that way. It's just there's times when there's such intense mental energy going on, even though I'm trying to be present with it. It's just, the energy's got to go somewhere, because I don't know how to harness it or direct it, or I'm open to it, but it's like, there's still a lot of, rocking of the boat, so to speak. So since I had trouble then settling or focusing, I then have to have music. And of course, Yolanda's grinning because, I thought, oh, today's lesson was great. And because all day long, I just had to keep singing Yolanda's song. Oh, this is an easy one. So, yeah, so that way it sort of takes my mind off of it and gives me a place to sort of direct the restless, which feels like uncontainable energy. And so I just find that so hugely important. And that for me, anyway, I just find your music, Yolanda, just is so aligned with what I'm trying to look at in the first place, and in a way that it requires less concentration. And thanks for letting me share that. I appreciate that.
That's lovely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know much.
I'm so
about,
grateful for that.
Anything. Oh,
go ahead, Yolanda.
Oh, I just wanted to say I'm so grateful for that, because that's why I wrote those songs, is to help me remember the lessons throughout the day. And that was the total intention of writing those songs. So I wrote them to help me stay in the moment, and stay present. And it really does work for me too. So I'm glad they're helpful.
What a gift. Yeah, what a gift to everyone. Thank you.
And today's lesson is God goes with me wherever I go. And so that's what Yolanda posted today. Grace goes with me wherever I go, So, and our cat's name is Grace. So there's a cat dedication video online if you'd like to do that. But another thing, I don't want to make another plug here, but I used to have the Adhan. Do you know what the Adhan is? Like the Muslim call to prayer. It's if you're Orthodox Muslim, you need to pray 4 times a day, and that means stopping, getting your rug out, and doing 3 prostrations and a whole thing. It's not like. But
there's a tune that there's something.
Oh yeah. I won't sing it for you, but
I can't remember.
There's so you can get an app on your phone. It's called the Call to Prayer, or the Adhan, Adhan. And Yolanda knows this because we would be out or something like that, and suddenly my phone would go la la,
It's beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was and that's when I was into doing a lot of the Ibn al-Arabi practices and things like that. That were very helpful. So I used the Adhan to remind myself to wake up, to do the lessons. So and on that,
yeah, we're done.
We're done. How about that? It happened so quickly.
I know. Thank you all for being here. It's been a lovely, lovely discussion. I really enjoyed it. You're gonna play our outro, my dear.
I'm gonna try. Let's see how well I do.
Yeah, let's.
It's off at a crapshoot.
You've been listening to Herein Lies the Peace of God with Reverend Jacquelyn Eckert and Reverend Glen Ganaway. To find out more about Jacqueline and to donate to Awakening Together Sanctuary, go to www.awakening-together.org. To find out more about Glen and to donate to the Mighty Companions Ministries, go to www.glenganaway.com. That's GLENGANAWAY.com.
Instead of pain. Amen.
Good night, everybody. We love you. Thank you for your practice.
Night, y'all. Thanks.